Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to round 4, the penultimate round of the FSR rFactor 2 Winter Series, here live from Sebring. So, coming into this weekend, we're off the back of a fantastic race at the Poznan circuit in Poland, which saw Matt Sentel win his first ever FSR race. And this weekend sees the return of some well-known FSR names such as Jaakko Simončić, Martin Gosby, and Alvaro Torres. Sorry, I completely forgot his name there. We are currently in the final 30 seconds of warm-up now, and once that's over, we'll be ready to go for our 4th race of this Winter Series season. So, we'll just have a quick rundown of the championship standings so far. And it is very tight at the top with only 2 rounds left to run, with the top 5 drivers separated by 11 points as Jim Parisis leads the way with 48 points, followed closely by Martin Hodas, who won the last race, not Matt Sentel, I do apologise for that, with 42. Matt Sentel, who came second at Poznan, is in 3rd with 39. Jiri Toman in 4th with 38, and David Greco in 5th with 37. It has to be noted that David Greco once again won't be returning this weekend. After missing out on the last race, it would appear that he's not here to race again today. So, warm-up's over now. It looks like we should be getting ready to go to the race. Yes, we are. So, as per the previous 2 weekends, we'll be running a formation lap behind the safety car. The safety car will pull into the pits and the drivers will be released, and it will be a rolling start, single file. This is mainly due to some recent issues with tyre smoke just affecting drivers' visibility, especially going into the first couple of corners. So just in terms of giving everyone a fair chance of actually getting through the first lap comfortably, we will have another rolling start. So drivers are on the grid and the grid starts to pull away slowly, so I'll take you through the running order after qualifying. So Jaakko Simončić, returning to the FSR field this weekend, is on pole. Alongside him is Vili Lapala, last year's winner at this track, of course. In grid 2, we've got Jiri Toman and Jim Parisis, while on row 3 is Matt Sentel and also the returning Martin Gosby. Row 4 sees Patrick DeWitt and Adrian Rodriguez, who had a fantastic first half of the race at Poznan after and unfortunately dropping back a bit. So it'll be interesting to see if people have to pit today. On row 5 we've got Martin Hodas, our previous round winner. That's correct. With Jarek Boshov in 10th. Johnny Simon is in 11th place with Daniel Brewer in 12th. Row 7 is Blair Disley and Marcel van der Linden with Alvaro Torres and Carlos Hernandez in row 8. Steve Sock and James Sadler line up on row 9, and rounding it out, the 20-man grid is Ryan Winsper and Dmitry Zarahov. So, this is not a timed race today. Instead, it is a 25-lap race due to some drivers' concerns about perhaps not being able to make 45 minutes on the current fuel load that they'll be having, but they will certainly be able to make it in 25 laps. So that's the amount of laps we'll run today. It'll make it a bit easier for you guys at home to see how long we've got left to go through the race, and we will have a definitive answer when we're on a white flag lap as well, so that's always good to know. So we're coming around still under safety car into this first formation lap. It's quite a long circuit here at Sebring. It's a full road course that you'd see typically at the 12 hours of Sebring, which is really what this track is most famous for. Currently coming through the second to last turn, it would appear, onto the long back straight, and this is probably one of the better overtaking places on the track as it comes down into a final corner, which is quite long and sweeping though, so you really do have to be alongside the guy who you're trying to overtake to make the pass, otherwise it's a bit of a daring opportunity which could see both drivers spinning out if you're not quite far enough along. So Jone Simoncic is warming up his tyres here, trying to get them as warm as possible in order to bolt well. We'll be able to see what Simoncic is like under rolling stars. It's probably not something he's used to, as FSR usually runs on a standing start, and the safety car's in. Jone Simoncic has bolted already, the green flag's in the air, and away we go. So Simoncic lead, and already Lapala's coming under attack from Jiri Toman. They're going to go side by side for second down into the first corner. Toman's still at the inside, and it looks like, yes, he's made the position. So Toman's up into second. A great first lap move for Toman, who previously had dropped positions in the first lap, so it's good to see he's really getting a hang of these rolling starts. Paris is in fourth, and Centel is in fifth, Gosby in sixth, so there hasn't been too much movement so far, as it looks like everyone's had a cleanish start. Oh, we've got Carson Andes off, he's gone Sadler's off as well, and Zarahov's in the pits, so we have had a bit of carnage at the back, as one might expect. But apart from that, the first good pack of cars are all away. They're really nose to tail as Patrick DeWitt's looking at the back of Martin Gosby, going through this very tight, twisty mid-section of the track. There's not a lot you can do here apart from follow the guy in front of you and really try and make an overtake. So yes, we're just getting with it. Hollis's name's in yellow for some reason. I'm not seeing that on my screen, so I'm not too sure about that. But Simoncic still leads. Billy Lapala is not that close behind him, has to be said. So Simoncic has had a fantastic start here. As a matter of fact, it's Toman, of course, that's behind Simoncic. My lifetime it hasn't updated. That's what I'm not seeing. Simoncic, yep, coming under attack from Toman, coming into turn one. What can Toman do? He goes up the inside. Can he make the move stick once again? This will be two guys in two positions. Nope, he's had to pull back, going through into turn three. Yeah, Simoncic just holds on there, so good driving by both drivers. Toman didn't force the issue too much and make a mistake. Yes, I'm getting that. Yeah, Toman's last on the lead lap down is 17th, but he's definitely not on our screens. It would appear he should be in second place. Paris is coming up the inside of Vili Lapala, braking heavily, but nowhere to go into the hairpin. Perhaps the best overtaking spot on the racetrack. So Paris holds on to fourth now. He really wants to get up there because he's got a championship still to try and win, with Toman looking like his closest competitor at the moment, who's currently in second place, as Centel and Hodas are further down the field. Yeah, unfortunately at the moment the time is all over the place. We've apparently got Jarek Boshov in the lead. That's definitely not right, so we just have to go with what we can see on the screen, and that is that Jone Simoncic is currently leading from Jiri Toman, with Matt Centel in third, Jim Priest in fourth, DeWitt in fifth. So I've lost Vili Lapala. Yeah, Gosby's all over the back of DeWitt now, coming out that final corner. Sorry, while I was looking for Lapala, DeWitt is all over the back of Gosby. He's actually in front of Gosby now, so Gosby coming around the outside. He's going to take a big long sweeping turn into turn one. DeWitt holds the line on the inside and he's got the position. So Gosby's falling back a little bit, and Adrian Rodriguez with an opportunistic move up the inside, and he gets that done as well, but he's gone wide. Yeah, the track's kinks at the end of turn three there, through turn four is a bit of a kink, and Rodriguez had to take to the grass there and lost positions, and has lost a bit of time to Gosby, so he's moved further back down the field. So Gosby will now be looking at DeWitt more than anything, who has got past him. And Jiri Toman, whilst we were looking at that, Jiri Toman's now leading this race, so he's made the move past Simoncic. He wasn't the fastest in qualifying, but he's certainly been the fastest in the start of this race so far. In the first couple of laps, he's really taken it to every driver. He's been on the back of both Lapala and Simoncic throughout the first couple of laps, got past them both. I'm really starting to struggle with working out who's in what position, because it's telling me that Centel is in second. Perhaps that's right, I'm not entirely sure. People are disappearing off my screens. No, Simoncic is still there, he should be in second. But Toman's already pulled out quite a gap on Simoncic, so you definitely have to say that Toman is the fastest man on track at the moment. Coming through as Dmitry Zarahov has retired from the race, so the guy who started in last is already out this race, so unfortunate for him. So Toman leads. We've got Simoncic in second, Lapala in third, Centel in fourth, Paris in fifth, DeWitt in sixth, Gosby in seventh, Adrian Rodriguez in eighth, recovering from that mistake through turn 4. He hasn't cut onto the back of Gosby now, but he's looking decent, so expect Rodriguez to really try and have another go at Gosby in the near future. As Gosby locks his brakes coming into the hairpin there, so the highest braking point on the circuit. As Centel is looking a little bit closer to Lapala here. But the first few cars have spread themselves out a little bit. DeWitt is also starting to close down on Paris, so DeWitt has definitely got some pace in these early laps, but what DeWitt has suffered from in this winter series so far is just being a bit too aggressive on the tyres. He's always had to come in for a second pit stop, and first pit stop, sorry, to do a 2-stint race, and that's really what's cost him. As in the previous 2 races, the top 3 or 4 drivers are the ones that have been able to hold on to the tyres throughout the race and not have to make a pit stop at all. Of course, there's no refueling in this series, it's just about the tyres. You've got the fuel to go to the end. As Toman pits, Toman's in the pits, Simoncic is in the pits as well. This is quite surprising to see. 3 laps in, we've already got pit stops being made, so I don't entirely know what this is for, unless they might have black flags. Lapala, Simoncic and Toman all in. That's the only thing I can think of, as DeWitt was a bit of a victim to that in the previous race. He had a black flag for an infringement on the safety car lap and had to serve a black flag in the first couple of laps, which is a stop-go penalty. So Toman, Lapala and Simoncic all dropping down the field, and they've really got a lot of work to do, and this is really going to benefit Paris in the title chase, along with Matt Centel as well, who now leads the race because of that. He is the new leader after the top 3 all had to come in for what was surely a stop-go penalty. What it's for, I'm not entirely sure, but they've had to serve that. So the battle now is on for second place, as Paris is holding off DeWitt, who's also got Gosby coming up behind him. Gosby is holding on to DeWitt, so DeWitt will want to get past Paris as quick as possible before he comes under fire from Gosby as well. Rodriguez, after making that mistake in turn 4, hasn't really managed to close the gap on Gosby anymore. Yeah, he's starting to drop back from Gosby now, as the top 4 really are getting quite close to each other. There's only a few car lengths between them coming down that back straight there into that final long corner. The drivers have been told about keeping within the white lines of that final corner, to be careful not to cut the track and gain any advantage. So they really go out wide going into turn 1, using all that pit exit to get a wide entry through turn 1, that long sweeping corner. As we look now, Carlos Hernandez is out of the race, just to update on that, and Lapala's in the pits again. So what is this for? Is it another stop-go penalty perhaps? you'd have to think it is, as SimRacing has also retired from the race. So after whatever that issue was in the first couple of laps that saw him having to pit, he's called it a day and pitted. And he's been disqualified apparently. In chat he's said disqualification. So something definitely going on here which the drivers aren't too sure about, and Lapala's pulled out of the pits and Toman is still going around. So the top three have been afflicted by something here. It's Matt Sentel anyway still leads this race with Paris in second, DeWitt in third, Gosby in fourth, Rodriguez in fifth, Boshoff in sixth. As we are having a restart to the race, so because of whatever happened to the top three there, we will be restarting this race, it would appear, as we return to warm-up. Yes, there's a lot of chat going on here. Some of the drivers aren't too happy with this, but our director, John Eric Saxon, is confirming that the top three had a problem. So, yeah, just looking through that. The drivers are saying that perhaps the top three left too much space between themselves and the safety car. I'm not sure how that would affect the top three. It certainly affects the guy in first, but it shouldn't affect the men behind him. So we will look to restart this race in a second here. That is for certain. We'll be interested to see if it's a full race distance again or not. I'm interested to see. I'm assuming that we'll take the same grid as it was in the qualifying. So, just to let you guys know on YouTube, the comment section is there. If you have any questions, and please feel free to ask me, as I'm in the box by myself today, so I'll have plenty of talking time and I'll try and get through as many questions as you want. So we're currently still in the warm-up, just seeing what's going to happen. Our race directors just confirming that everyone needs to be a little bit closer to the safety car this time around. It seems to be a little bit of an issue between keeping up with the safety car, and perhaps that was what was causing some issues with the timing as well, as the first three guys were all over the timing screens. That was making it a little bit difficult in those first couple of laps. Yep, Jarek Session again just confirming that Jone Simincic just needs to stay a bit closer to the safety car during that warm-up lap, and not to pass it before the start and finish line as well. Yeah, so Simincic did jump quite early on. Yeah, just seen one of your questions in the YouTube chat. Why have they chosen to do the rolling starts instead of standing starts? And that's not something that should become commonplace in FSR. It's just a little stopgap at the moment due to the density, really, of the tyre smoke that you get, especially when a car spins or locks their brakes going into a corner. And there was a lot of issues raised between the drivers that they just couldn't see going into the first couple of corners on the first laps, and it was causing quite a few accidents as they couldn't see other drivers and they were running into the back of them, and it was making it very difficult indeed. So that is why we've been doing the rolling starts for the last couple of races, and this race as well. But as you can see there, it's caused a little bit of an issue as we do go back to the race now. So the positions will be the same as they were before, in terms of the starting lineup, it will be from the qualifying results. So Simčić will regain his pole position and will be leading the field around again. Unfortunately, it would appear we've lost one driver. I think it might be Carlos Hernandez won't be taking the green this time around, so we're down to a 19 car field for this second start. And just confirming that again, we will have 25 laps in this race, so this is the full 100% race distance restart. So the field pulls away behind the safety car, and once again Simčić will take the top spot, and he will control the field when we come round to the start finish line, as he is first on the grid, followed by Vili de Parla once again. And I'll just quickly go through the grid just in case you missed it the first time around. We've got Jiri Toman in third place, Jim Paris in fourth. On row 3 we've got Matt Sentel and Martin Gosby. Then we've got Patrick DeWitt and Adrian Rodriguez, with Martin Hodas and Jarek Boshov in 9th and 10th. Johnny Simon, I hope I pronounced that right. He's told me a couple of times how to pronounce his name, so hopefully I've got that correct now. It's always good to know exactly how to pronounce someone's name. It makes it a lot easier for us commentators up here, so we're not guessing when we say their name for the first time. He's in 11th. With Daniel Brewer in 12th, Blair Disley in 13th, Marcel van der Linden in 14th, Alvaro Torres in 15th, Steve Sock in 16th. James Sadler in 17th, Ryan Winsper in 18th, and Dmitry Zarahov rounding out the field in 19th. Yet once again, just confirming that Carlos Hernandez will not be taking the green flag this time around, so we are down to 19 drivers. So Simčić this time around does look like he's staying with the safety car as closely as he dares. You don't want to get too close, you don't want to suddenly have to brake and cause some kind of chain reaction. So he's staying in good formation. The drivers are staying right up behind him as well. This is a single file restart, of course, so there won't be any craziness in the double file restarts that you tend to see in a lot of the American series. This is like a standard safety car restart that you would see in F1 or something. So when the pace car does come in, Simčić will gain control of the field, and it will be up to him when to go. But of course he's been told that he has to stay within a reasonable speed, not fall too far behind the safety car, and also not overtake the safety car before the green flag, just in the hope that we don't get any repeat of the issues that we saw just then, which took out the top 3 drivers effectively. As we come round this final corner now, Simčić right on the back of the safety car. He definitely wants to get another fantastic start as he did before, and I'm sure the pilot will be aware of Toman, who had also a fantastic start. Simčić controlling the field, really bunching them up. He's holding station this time. By now he bolted before, as he comes to the line, and the green flag waves and we're away. Simčić lead. Toman is already looking up the inside of Lapala, and Lapala's looking up the inside of Simčić as well, drops back in behind, and once again through turn 1 Toman takes second place. So ever the opportunist, Toman, and there's a big crash behind involving Sentel, Gosby. They're all off. Quite a few drivers there. It did look like someone just got out wide. James Sadler off the track as well. Sentel's lost his front wing. DeWitt is buried in the wall. That's his race over for the day. Gosby retires as well. So that's quite a few drivers out in turn 1. I don't know who it was that just went wide. Someone did go wide there. I think they might have come back onto the track over the curbing and caused a massive crash. Yeah, let's just have a quick replay of that. I'll try and look at it from Gosby's point of view, perhaps. As he came into turn 1, and there was contact from behind. Yeah, not too sure what happened there. There seemed to be contact from behind, unless I'm missing something, and unfortunately he did catch out the likes of Matt Sentel, so a lot of our championship hopefuls have had to retire here. Well, Gosby and DeWitt, of course. Centel is still roaming around at the back of his front wing, but anyway, on with the race, and Jene Simincic still leads. He's pulled up quite a gap already. We've got Lapala back in second now, so Toman's dropped back into third. It's as you started, with Parisis in fourth, and Parisis is on the back of Toman now. Can he get a slipstream down into turn one? He looks like he's just a little bit too far back. He goes out wide to really get a good entry into the corner, and Toman, yeah, he's easily got that third position held, so Toman remains in third, Parisis in fourth, Boshov in fifth, Brewer in sixth, Hodas in seventh. Apparently we're just getting word that there was some sort of code glitch that caused that crash, so can't really fault any of the drivers there, just a little bit of misfortune, and unfortunately that's taken a few of the top drivers out of this race. And Gosby, who returned to FSR, I'm not sure what he's doing in this 2014 season, whether he'll still be with Precision Motorsports in some form. Surely he will be a World Championship driver, as he's done really well in the previous season. But whatever he decides to do, it's a shame that he has to retire from this race, and we'll see if he returns for the final round, which is a to be announced track, of course. Anyway, back to the front. Simincic still leads. He's got a good 1.5 second gap over Philippe Lapala after the first lap. Toman is holding station in third at the moment, so he hasn't really shown the pace that he had in that first start. When he moved up to first, he must be gutted now that he has all that work to do again. With Parisis in fourth, Parisis surely looking for even more consistency, as he has had in the past 3 rounds, which has seen him lead the championship by 6 points going into this penultimate round. So another strong finish by Parisis would definitely help his championships challenge. As Homan is stating that he has another penalty, so you shouldn't really be chatting during the race, but Toman's done it nonetheless, and he has another penalty apparently, so expect to see him come into pits at the end of possibly the third lap, as I believe it was before. So that's a big blow for Toman and his championship challenge as well, if that's the case. Apparently that penalty can be removed though, so hopefully we will see that and Toman will be allowed to carry on, as I didn't see Toman really do anything wrong there. We want all the best drivers at the front really battling for this win, as Simincic's lead has dropped a little bit. It's going down to 1.3 seconds now over Vili Lapala, so the gap's staying pretty similar, but Lapala just does look a little bit faster at the moment. Parisis in fourth, just dropping off the back of Toman a little bit now. Toman is definitely looking faster. He's really caught up to Vili Lapala in this past lap, so Toman perhaps going to go and try and pass Lapala into his favourite overtaking place, turn one, to see if he can get a run. And yes, Toman's drive-through penalty has been removed, so he'll be relieved to see that now. He can really get on with it and go for an attempted win, as Matt Centel has retired from this race, so he is out. We're down to 16 drivers now. I think Centel really suffered from the damage he received from that first lap. As Martin Hodas has gone off the track, looks like, oh, he's lost his rear wing as well, so that's a disaster for our round 3 winner. Hodas has had some sort of accident somewhere. Going into turn 1, he was under attack up the inside of Brewer, and he just spun out. He just lost it and went backwards into the tyre barrier in the exit of turn 1. So he's lost his rear wing. He's going to have to be careful bringing that back to the pits. He can't go too fast, and that's a bit of a disaster for his race, as Adrian Rodriguez has retired as well. So he is out of the race. As Hodas still attempts to return to the pits, and the gap again between the leaders is remaining pretty stable at 1.3 seconds. We're just getting confirmation that Daniel Brewer hit the rear of Hodas going into turn 1 there, so that's a bit of a disaster for Hodas as Paris has spun coming out of turn 16. He's just lost the back end, he's managed to recover, but that's dropped him down into 5th place now. Jarek Boshov has gone past him, and Paris has got Simon and Marcel van der Linden behind him. As apparently also Lapal half spun as well, and yes, of course, because Toman has moved up into 2nd position now, so Toman's started to make his way back through after that restart, which saw him retake his 3rd place that he gained in qualifying. So Toman up into 2nd, Lapala down to 3rd. Toman's got a 2-second gap between himself and Simoncic, and we'll be interested to see if he can really close that gap now and try and catch up with Simoncic in these remaining 20 laps, so he's got plenty of time to do it. So Lapala, we'll see if he can stay on the back of Toman, as there's quite a gap between himself and Boshov now. Boshov in 4th place, of course, inheriting that from Paris, who's now 3 seconds behind Boshov because of that spin through turn 14. So Paris has got a bit of ground to make up, but of course he doesn't want to bin it, trying to make up that ground, as he really does need to get the points and keep his championship hunt going, as he leads Toman in the championship by a good 10 points, so we want to hold at least some of that gap. Paris is, yeah, he's not looking too fast at the moment in 4th place. He's got Johnny all over the back of him, so Paris is not having the best at the moment. I wonder if he's got any damage at all as he comes down the back straight into this final turn 17. Still looking not too bad through that corner. He's gone a bit wide though on the exit. We'll see if Simon can get any kind of run on him down the pit straight away. Doesn't look like too much of a tow there, so Paris will have comfortably hold on to 5th place through turn 1, not really challenged at all. Simon really is the meat in the sandwich here. He needs to be careful because he's got van der Linden all over the back of him as well, as Hodas comes into the pits, of course, to get that rear wing change. So he's now in 15th and last of all of our runners here today. As Simon looking all over the back of Paris, coming down into the hairpin. He's going to go to the outside. What can he do? Paris will just hold the inside and sweep back and retains his 5th position. But he's really looking under fire here. He's not looking too good at all, as Ryan Winsper has just retired from the race. Oh, it's like he just went wide coming through turn 1. Got onto the, yeah, well, what can you say there? He got onto the curbing into the wall. Big dramatic accidents. That's why Ryan Winsper's race over, as Paris is still holding on to this 5th place here. Simon in 6th and Marcel van der Linden in 7th. It's not an easy circuit to overtake on, that's for sure, as the 2 biggest straights on the track, both the pit straight and the back straight, really have quite long sweeping corners that are taken at a high gear, so there's not too much braking involved, so you can't really outbrake anyone at the end of these straights. You really have to be up the inside of them and really kind of force them out of their preferred line through the corner to try and get the move done. I see one uses the track a little bit and really takes the grass as well, so he's really pushing here to try and get past Paris. He's using all the track that he needs going into turn 1 to get a fantastic entry into the corner. As just to update you on the leaders, Simoncic has now extended his lead to himself and Jiri Toman by 0.2 of a second. He's now 2.2 seconds ahead. So Simicic is looking healthy so far. And Toman hasn't really been able to shake Philly Lapala either. Lapala's still holding on in 3rd place. So had it not been that accident, Simon has just been passed by Van der Linden and Brewer. I'm guessing he's made a mistake. Coming through the hairpin, yeah, he's just got out the hairpin, just got on the acceleration a bit prematurely and just spun the car out. Not too much of an issue, but he did get passed by both Marcel van der Linden and Daniel Brewer. So Simon's now down into 8th place, so that will relieve Paris's at least for a while. We'll see now if Marcel van der Linden can get onto the back of Paris's and try and go for 5th place. Just looking through the field, it would appear that the potential battle between Paris and Van der Linden will be the closest on the track, as many of the other drivers have spread themselves out now. It will be interesting to see if we have any form of pit stops today, as they have proved pretty unsuccessful in the last 2 races, as Paris just runs a little bit wide onto the grass coming out of the final corner. But he's extending his gap between himself and Van der Linden a little bit now, so perhaps Paris is starting to get back into it a bit, and as yes, he's doing 47.4, which is about 0.7 of a second faster than he did on the previous lap. So Paris is perhaps without that pressure of Simon on his rear. As Simicic is down into 3rd and he's lost his front wing, so something has happened to Simicic here. He's gone wide coming out of turn 3, is that? Let's have a quick look. No, it's through turn 3, coming round turn 4 and 5, and he's just gone wide. It looks like he didn't slow down enough for the corner, and he's just gone wide, and he's just clipped, literally just clipped the tyre barrier, and that was enough to take his front wing off. Ooh, nearly comes back into the track in front of Philly Lapala, but luckily Lapala was aware and was able to avoid it. But that's disastrous for Simicic. He's without a front wing now. He's all over the track, just trying to battle with the understeer that he's obviously going to have with no front wing. He's coming down the back straight now, so he's not too far away from the pits, but this is going to drop him right down the field, probably behind Blair Disley in 11th, you'd have to say, after this pit stop. Simicic is trying to get out of the way of the other drivers as Paris and Van der Linden go through. So the Ghost Speed driver, who's made his return to FSR, and the first time I've seen him in the Winter Series this year, was looking comfortable at the front, and it's been a bit of a disaster for him really. He's just lost his front wing. He'll be ruining that mistake. Just looked like he just got a little bit too much speed going into turn 5, and that was enough to put him out wide onto the marbles and onto the grass as well. So Simicic in the pits, and he has indeed dropped down to 11th place. So as a matter of fact, Simicic has retired. So we're down to only 12 drivers now from our 19 starters, with all but Zarahov on the lead lap, of course. So back at the front, Toman now takes the lead of this race as he had it before in the first race before we had our restart. So Toman leads, Lapala in second. He's only 0.7 of a second behind, so Lapala is staying with Toman at the moment, so this is impressive by Lapala. Had he not made his mistake, he could be leading this race right now, and he'll definitely want to try and get back at Toman with still another 16 laps to go, so there's plenty of time for him to do something about Toman, as they really are quite close together. Boshov now 3rd place, further 5 seconds back from Lapala, a little bit by himself, with Van der Linden now in front of Jim Paresis. So Jim Paresis has dropped back. He was quite a distance ahead of Van der Linden, so you have to assume that Paresis has made a mistake, and he's dropped down from 4th to 5th place. Looks like Paresis doesn't want to be anywhere other than 5th today, because every time He's higher than 5th. He seems to make a mistake and drop back down. So breezes into 5th. And that won't be too good for his championship challenge, as Toman is leading at the moment. So Toman, if results were to stay the same, would be taking a full 25 points, and that would surely move him up into top spot in the championship going into our final round. But of course Lapala is still there. He's still 7/10 of a second behind, so they're doing pretty equal lap times. They're both in the 1:46s, the very high 46s of course, just creeping in there. It would appear that a 46 or a 47, high 46 or low 47 I should say, is the lap time to be on today. That's really where the pace is at. As Shorik Boshov is doing a mid 47, so he's not quite there with the leaders, so neither of the leaders really have Boshov to worry about too much. It's pretty much a 2-horse race now between Toman and Lapala for the win of this 4th round of the Winter Series, as Lapala has dropped a couple of tenths of a second back from Toman, so it's now out to 9/10 of a second between the two leaders. Again going through this final corner, we'll have a look at the times as they come across the start finish line now, and it's up to 1.1 seconds, so that lap Toman took a good 4/10 out of Lapala in terms of extending his advantage over the 2nd place runner. So that's good for Toman so far. He's definitely setting the pace, and it'll be up to Lapala to try and respond and stay with Toman, otherwise Toman will start to run away, as perhaps the closest battle we have on track will be between Marcel van der Linden and Jim Parisis, who has dropped a couple of positions due to some mistakes here today. It will be interesting to see if he does have any damage on his car, as he did in Poznan after that first lap crash between himself and Jiri Toman. He had quite a bit of damage to the rest of the race, but he managed to recover. As yes, just looking down now in 8th place, we have Steve Stock. I haven't really talked about him too much today. He's currently in 8th, but he's got Alvaro Torres right behind him, and Blair Disley is there as well. So the returning Alvaro Torres makes his first appearance in the FSR Winter Series. He came into FSR only halfway through last season and really kind of set a light to the World Trophy Championship, winning quite a few races and at one point nearly having a chance of winning it, as Blair Disley goes side by side with Torres, going through these fast left-handers. They're full throttle flat out. Blair Disley still up the inside going into turn 16. Sorry, that's turn 14. Now into turn 16, Torres has held on over Disley, and that's just allowed Steve Sock to get away a little bit, as Disley's still all over the back of Torres. Coming down into this final corner, you can't really do too much with this final corner. It's a very, very fast corner. You can see that Disley takes a much tighter line through the corner, whereas Toman really kind of gives a bit more room to the wall and the white lines, and it actually looks like Toman had a better run through that corner, and he's extended the gap between himself and Disley a little bit more, so Toman is safe for now. And Steve Sock likewise, who's now pulled out a 1.4 gap between himself and Alvaro Torres for 8th place. Just to update you on the leaders, Jiri Toman's now extended his lead out to 1.6 seconds here. So Toman is definitely starting to go faster and faster. Lapala is still doing low 47s, but Toman has upped his pace and he's in the mid to low 46s, so this is fantastic pace by Toman. The only thing you'd have to think about is he going to push these tyres too hard? Will he have to make a pit stop, which could be a disadvantage to himself? As Torres again through these tight twisty sections of the track is starting to come under fire from Blair Disley a little bit, there's not too much you can do through the mid part of the track, through turn 7 to 13. It's very twisty, and there's really only one line through them all, so you just have to follow the guy in front of you and hope you can make a run down this back straightaway on towards turn 17 to try and make an overtaking manoeuvre. But Disley's not close enough. He's not really picking up any form of slipstream as Torres now through the final corner. Disley running out wide. No, he's fallen back a bit again, so you have to say that Disley's much better through the tight twisty stuff than Torres, but Torres has got it when it counts down the long straights. Of course, these are fixed setups, so the cars won't be that much different, only really a little bit of adjustments. There's nearly contact between Torres and Disley coming through turn 4 and 5. Disley having to slam on the brakes there a bit and really creating a bit of smoke. But Torres holding on to this 9th place, Disley in 10th. Still, it would appear that's the closest battle on the track, is Marcel van der Linde has really started to pull away from Jim Paresis now. There's now 2.6 seconds between the two of them, so Paresis not on form today in terms of his race speed. He's dropping back down the grid from where he qualified, so he's certainly struggling a little bit, dropping into the 48s compared that to Toman in the 46s is quite a big difference at this point in the race, as Johnny Seaman is now up behind Daniel Brewer for 6th place here, going into the final corner. He's looking up the inside. They both take quite a similar line through this final corner. Down the pit straight now, Seaman's right in the back. Can he get any form of slipstream and try and pass Brewer into turn 1? It doesn't look like it. Brewer takes a nice wide entry into the corner, a wide exit as well. Seaman's a bit more respectful of the white lines. He doesn't want to get too close to them, it seems. He comes through for his tight twisty section. Not too much he can do here, although down to this hairpin it's certainly a good overtaking opportunity as you do go from 6th down into 2nd gear. Really have to brake quite heavily. Both drivers doing a good job not locking up. And the pressure will be on Daniel Brewer now, as Seaman's all over the back of him. As just looking at the lap times, they're both doing similar lap times to Jim Paresis, but Seaman can go much faster, as his last lap he lost a second compared to what he was doing because he is stuck behind the 6th place driver, and perhaps that will cost him, as he could surely go and hunt down Paresis as well if he could get past Brewer. But of course you can easily catch someone, but it's very difficult to overtake them, especially with a lot of this dirty air. This makes it a bit difficult, but look at now, he's got a good run down the back straight going towards turn 16. Very long straight. They're just about side by side now. Seaman going up the inside, taking the inside line into the corner. Oh, and he just gets up the inside. Did he force Brewer out wide? It was certainly close between them. Just looking at the replay, he wasn't quite up the inside, and yeah, he just kind of moved Brewer out a little bit there, so a little bit of aggressive driving from Seaman, as he now takes 6th place here. So we'll have to see now if he can make up that 3.3 second deficit between himself and Paresis to go after a top 5 position, which would be a great result for the Australian. Just looking through the field, Alvaro Torres has pulled out a bit of a gap on Blair Disley now. He's about 1.5 seconds between the two of them, so Disley is looking like he's started to struggle perhaps. we're past half distance now, so if anyone pits, this would be the time. But I think people are starting to learn from the last couple of races that pitting just isn't really worth it, as Torres has now suddenly got Disley back all over the back of him again. So forget what I was saying about Torres starting to pull away. He's suddenly Disley all over the back of him. He hit Sock apparently. We're getting word from our cameraman Jaakko Mikkonen that he hit Steve Sock. So, oh yeah, just going up the inside through turn 9, I believe that is. He wasn't really like far enough up the inside, just tapped his rear right, and that spun Steve Sock around. So unfortunate for Steve Sock. But anyway, Blair Disley still all over the back of Torres. Go for his final corner, taking a much tighter line again. He does get a good run out of the final corner as Torres did go a bit wide, got onto the grass just slightly, and Disley is all over the back of Torres. But can he get enough of a run up the inside? No, he can't, so he's just going to have to hold there through turn 1. All this contact between the two, and Torres is off. Torres has hit that curb and it's just taken him out. He's lost everything. He's lost his front left wheel, his front wing, his rear wing. That's definitely his race over. We'll look at that again. Torres just swooped out wide into turn 1, took a tight line. He just looked like he just kind of took too tight of a line, really. Had to slam on the brakes a little bit and put him out wide, and he just hit that curb and he just destroyed the car. So I don't know what you want to say about that, but that is a disaster for Torres. Just a slight mistake, hits the curb, destroyed his car and destroyed his race. So that's Torres out of the race now. Only 11 drivers left in this race from our starting 19. Disley now up into 8th place. Steve Sock now up into 9th as well, following Torres's accident. Be interesting to know if Torres had any damage from hitting Steve Sock earlier in the lap, if that's affected him at all going into turn 1. But whatever the case may be, that's an end to Torres's race. Meanwhile at the front though, the lead has started to come down a bit. Jiri Toman is now only 9/10 of a second ahead of Lapala, and Lapala is looking much closer. Toman's lap times haven't really gone off. He's still doing low 47s and high 46s, much as he was doing before. But Lapala, similar lap times, but he did put in quite a few consistent mid 46s. That's really what's allowed Lapala to catch up with Toman here. So Lapala perhaps starting to understand the car a little bit more and just really finding the pace in these tyres. Perhaps his tyres are hanging on a little bit more compared to Toman's. As these two drivers have a 10-second lead over Jorik Beauchamp in 3rd place. He's not having the most eventful race. He's pretty calm by himself. He's driving around doing low to mid 47s, nothing spectacular, but nothing bad either, pretty consistent. Marcel van der Linden, on the other hand, has done a couple of 46s, but he's not quite as consistent enough, so van der Linden might not be able to close this gap. He's got it under the 2-second mark, so it does look a little bit closer, but he'd have to be a bit more consistent to try and catch up with Beauchamp to get a chance of having a podium position here at Sebring. Jim Paris is still in 5th, really dropped off the back of van der Linden. Now he's 6 seconds behind, and actually looking like Johnny Simon perhaps catching him a little bit, 2.4 seconds behind, so he's starting to make inroads into the gap between himself and Parisis. Behind them is Daniel Brewer, 7th place, Blair Disley in 8th. They're 8 seconds behind Brewer. Steve Sock is 5 seconds, maybe a bit more between himself and Disley. Now a few pretty bad laps from Steve Sark, 58, 49, 50. So you'd have to assume that after that contact where he got taken out effectively by Torres, may have upset Sark's car, may have given him a bit of damage, and he started to struggle with that now, but he's got a big gap between himself and James Sadler, who's a further 53 seconds behind. So Sadler having a quiet race in 10th place, but still keeping going, and Zarahov 1 lap behind in 11th, rounding out our field at the moment. Back at the front, gap is remaining relatively stable. It's still at around the 1 second mark, so Toman just managing to hold this lead. He's improved his lap times a little bit from last couple of laps. Yep, he's back into the 46.7s compared to Lapala, who's a 46.7 as well. So Lapala and Toman are pretty equal on pace here. You'd have to say these are the front runners for today. No one else has really got anything to hold to them. No one else can keep up. They're about the only two that are in the 46s. Everyone else are either in the 47s or the 48s. That's really reflecting of their big lead over the rest of the field. Again, if you have any questions to ask in the YouTube comment sections, feel free to ask them and I'll try and answer them when and if I see them. We're just getting told that Toman is locking his rear brakes under braking. So that would suggest that he's got quite a bit of bias to the rear. Of course, you usually go with a bit of bias on the front. That's only natural, otherwise he's just going to be spinning out, coming into every braking zone. But Toman does look like he's started to struggle now compared to Lapala anyway. He's still doing better than the rest of the field, but Lapala is closing down. It's down to 0.7 of a second between the two. Lapala is looking the faster of the two drivers. He's pulling out. Lapala's pulling out of Toman's slipstream though. Down the straight, maybe just cooling the car down. He doesn't want to sit behind all that hot air of Toman all the way down the straight and affect some of his engine, as the gap is now 0.6 of a second. So Lapala is edging ever closer in. Toman back into the 47, so he definitely lost a bit of time on that last lap. It'll be interesting to see now if Lapala really starts to suffer from that dirty air. It's one thing chasing a guy down, but as soon as you just get into that zone where the dirty air starts to pick up, you find it really difficult in the corners to keep the same lines as you were before. You find that you get a bit more understeer going through the corner, and it really makes it a bit harder. You just have to remember just to reduce the speed a little bit and not push too hard. It's very easy to overdrive the car, especially when you really want to get past someone because you know you're faster than them. So that's really the issue that Paris has had in the first couple of rounds. He just couldn't find a way past the guy that was in first place. Of course, one of those guys was Toman, who had to put up with Paris right behind him for about half a race at the first round at Imola. And Toman is going to have to do the same again now with Lapala, only 0.6 of a second behind him with only 5 laps left to run. So will he be able to handle the pressure once again? He's done it before. He'll need to do it once again, as the gap between Boshoff and Van der Linden has come down. Van der Linden is now 1.1 seconds behind, so Van der Linden is definitely faster than Boshoff currently. Van der Linden in the low 47s, whereas Boshoff's just about a couple of tenths slower than Van der Linden, so Boshoff's going to have to pick up the pace or do something, because otherwise Van der Linden will be all over the back of him, as the gap between Toman and Lapala is now down to just under 0.5 of a second, less than half a second between the two. This is surely where the dirty air is really going to kick in, and Lapala is going to probably start to feel the effects of it, so I'll be interested to see how he does cope. Just quickly with the rest of the field, the only other close battles would be between Disley and Daniel Brewer. They're only about 9/10 of a second apart, but definitely our lead battle is the closest at the moment. I'll keep an eye on Van der Linden as well, who's now 9/10 of a second behind Boshov. Gap between the leads just going up a little bit. It's now 6/10 of a second. These aren't too aerodynamically dependent cars, these Formula 2 cars. They're not the fastest cars in the world, still got quite a bit of power behind them. But there's certainly no F1 car in terms of downforce levels, but as soon as you've got a front wing and a rear wing on a car, it's always going to be vital that you have as much of that downforce and clean air to utilise that downforce as possible. It's certainly not a Formula Ford race where you can get away with sitting behind someone and really get helped along by sitting behind someone. It's very much the opposite effect when you've got wings on the car. Stoneman just runs a little bit wide coming out that final turn. He's really going for it, giving it as much as he can, and Lapar is far faster on that last lap. Toman does a 46.7, Lapar does a 46.5. That's his fastest lap of the race. So even though Lapala's right there behind Toman, he still manages to put in his fastest lap, and that is probably the fastest lap of the race, as I haven't seen anyone else do a 46.5, I don't believe. As a matter of fact, Toman did do it in the third lap of the race, so that corrected me. But it does show that they are both on a very similar pace, these two drivers, as Dmitry Zarahov has retired from the race. Looks like it was just due to the suspension damage that he had incurred from, I believe, the first lap. As Sadler stopped on the track. What's going on here? Sadler in 10th position, stopped on the track. He's hardly moving at all. Is he just letting everyone through because he's picked up the pace now? It's not really the best way to let people lap you. You don't want to be stranded on the middle of the track, because you then become a big danger hazard, and anyone can easily be unsighted or just make a mistake and run into the back of you. So perhaps not the best of thinking there by James Sadler, but nonetheless the lead battle is still fairly close, as is the battle between third and fourth, as Van der Linden's now got the gap down to half a second. So the big battles on track are between first and second and third and fourth. I'll be interested to see what can be done here. Really, I haven't seen any kind of move yet from Philly Lapala. He hasn't quite got close enough to Toman. You have to be really within a couple of attempts right in the gearbox to get any form of slipstream and be able to get up the inside of someone. That's surely going to come down one of these straights like this one into the hairpin, turn 7. Or down the back, or pit straight as well. But Lapala has to get there first, and I think that might take a mistake from Toman to cause anything like that. Yorick Boshov has just extended the gap between himself and Van der Linden as well, so Van der Linden's definitely starting to feel the effect of that dirty air as well. With only a couple of laps left in this race now. This is really crunch time. The pressure will be on for both Toman and Boshov to try and hold off their respective chasers. And this will be big for Toman, because Toman will take the lead, as Paresis, I've just noticed, is down in 6th place. So I don't remember where Simon got past Paresis. Yeah, he had a bad lap a couple of laps ago. As Philly Lapala has lost a little bit of time now between himself and Toman. He did run wide, and he has lost quite a bit of time. It's now up to 9/10 of a second, nearly a second, so Lapala's going to have to close that gap down again, and it really just hasn't been able to get under the 4/10 mark. He can't break that barrier and do anything about Toman's lead, as Van der Linden has dropped off the back of Beauchef quite a bit as well. He's over a second and a half down now, nearly 2 seconds in fact, so Beauchef looking a little bit more comfortable with only 2 laps to go to hold on to this 3rd place. Of course, Beauchef was a World Trophy driver for Go Speed in one of their sister teams in the past season, so it'll be interesting to see what he will be getting up to in FSR in 2014, whether he'll be in the World Trophy again or if he'll move on. Of course, the World Trophy is now called the Pro Series, as the World Series is now called the Ace Series, as some changes have been made to the 2 series, not only in the names but also the race formats as well. As Paris is now looking like he could come under attack from Blair Disley if Disley can close the gap. Paris is definitely struggling. He's in the 48s consistently, whereas many the other drivers can do 47. So Paris is really struggling today, and this is really going to cost him in the championship because he's down in 6th place. He's only going to pick up, I believe, 8 points. Yes, I think it's 8 points for 6th place. Compare that to Toman's 25. That's a 17-point difference. And if you do the maths, Paris is only 10 points ahead of Toman, so that'll be a 7-point advantage for Toman going into the final round of the season. As we are now on the final lap of the race, Toman leads Lapala by 8/10 of a second, but Lapala is looking much closer as Toman locks up into the hairpin. Toman's running a bit wide, and Lapala is now all over the back of him, so suddenly a small slip up by Toman's giving Lapala the chance of the win. Can Lapala go up the inside through this tight twisty section, going up to turn 9? He's on the outside, locks his brake. Toman holds on to the position, just keeps it within the track limits, doesn't run wide onto the grass, and that was close for Toman. He nearly lost the win there, and Lapala has dropped back again now, so perhaps that was his final opportunity to do anything about Toman. Lapala will surely finish in 2nd place. Toman's just got 2 corners left to go. He does well through that right-hander coming onto the back straight. This is a long back straight. Toman just moving out to the middle of the track, trying to break the slipstream between himself and Lapala. Coming into this final corner, Toman just needs to keep it clean round here, gets a good line, wide entry, really tightens it up mid-corner, gets off a wide exit, and he wiggles his car as Jiri Toman takes his 2nd win of the Winter Series. It looks like Lapala's pretty chuffed with getting 2nd place as well. Jarek Beauchef, it would appear, he's going to hold on to 3rd place as well for a well-deserved podium for Beauchef. Didn't put a wheel wrong all race. 36/10 of a second back for Marcel van der Linden in 4th. Johnny Simon will come home in 5th place. A good top 5 for him as well. Really past a few people. Paris is under attack from Blair Disley coming through this final corner, but he's gapped Disley. He's surely going to hold on for 6th place here, but he will lose his championship lead. Paris is in 6th, Disley in 7th, Brewer in 8th, all very close between 6th to 8th there right at the end. And all we're waiting for now is Steve Sock, who's really struggled a little bit after being taken out by Alvaro Torres, and unfortunately for him, he will be the final guy on the lead lap today as he comes through in 9th place. And James Sadler will pick up 10th, 1 lap down. So, fantastic win for Jiri Toman there. Both him and Lapala really had a fantastic scrap throughout that entire race. Lapala kept Toman honest. Just that one mistake from Lapala in the first few laps gave Toman the chance he needed to take what was second spot at the time, and then after Simoncic's crash gave Toman the lead, and then Toman nearly repaid the favour to Lapala by making a mistake into the hairpin turn 7 on the final lap. Lapala had a chance but couldn't do anything about it, and Toman just managed to hold on to the lead. So a well-deserved win for Toman, and a fantastic result for Lapala in second as well. I'm sure he's absolutely delighted with that. And of course, Jarek Boshov gets his third place in the race as well. And looking at his previous finishing results, he hasn't done too great with a 6th and a 7th. It's not bad, pretty consistent, but he's definitely improved today at Sebring, so that's good to see for the Dutch driver. Just looking through the chat, it doesn't look like I've missed any questions, so that's good. Good to see I haven't missed any questions, but certainly Toman will go into the final round as the favourite. He's got a 7-point gap between himself and Paresis. Even if Paresis won the final round and Toman came in second, it still wouldn't be enough, as Toman has the 2 wins to Paresis' current 0 wins. You'd have to say it's just between the 2 of them now, as Martin Hodas, Matt Sentel both retired from this race, who were in 2nd and 3rd coming into this penultimate round. David Greco, of course, hasn't participated today, and Lapala in 6th will move up, looks like into 3rd place on 43 points, but still a long way behind Toman and Paresis. So definitely a 2-horse race going into our final round, which will be at a track to be announced. The track has not been announced yet, so it'll be interesting to see where we will decide this Winter Series Championship. And I hope you can join me and all the drivers to watch that epic battle between Toman and Paresis for the Winter Series crown. So until then, I'm Sam Jones, and good night.